Hey guys, Savanna was here. Welcome to our YouTube channel.
Today we're going to be exploring 2 different biomes and a problem affecting each of them.
First off, we will be talking about the African savanna. The savanna biome is a grassland characterized by its sparse tree covers. The savanna strikes a harmonious balance between grasses and scattered trees.
It's a place where sunlight floods the landscape, nurturing both plants and animal life. It is located near the equator and covers nearly half of the African continent. The biome has a variety of abiotic and biotic factors.
The biotic factors in the African savanna include the climate, the soil, the topography, and the natural disturbances. The climate. The African savanna has a wet and dry season, with temperatures typically ranging between 20 Celsius and 30 Celsius. Savannas are subdivided into 3 categories: wet, dry, and thornbush. The wet savannas have a short dry season lasting about 3 to 5 months. The dry seasons for the dry savannas ranges about 5 to 7 months, and the thornbush savannas have dry seasons that are greater than 7 months and receives an average of 30 to 40 inches of precipitation per year. You know what that means? No umbrellas are needed here. Where's the rain? That's right, it's not coming. The soil of the open grassy plains on the savanna generally have low fertility. The areas that are fertile are directly between the scattered trees. The topography of the land is also quite complex. The landscape of the African savanna includes hills, prairies, rocks, cliffs, gullies, and low-lying areas. The steepness of the terrain controls the flow of water over the surface and the drainage throughout the soil. These processes shape and form a variety of plants. In most biomes, this biome is affected by natural disturbances. These disturbances are floods, fires, and more, and all of these shape the landscape and influence the type of species that can survive here. These factors are also hypothesized to allow a long-term coexistence of trees and grasses, which is one of the most distinguishing features of the savanna ecosystem.
The African savanna has a diverse array of life. The producers are the acacia tree, the jackleberry tree, stargrass, red oak grass, and more. These plants provide energy for many species of organisms, such as insects, fungi, and larger animals. The consumers are divided into 3 categories. Herbivores. Examples include elephants, zebras, kangaroos, antelope, and giraffes. The omnivores include baboons, jackals, ostriches, and warthogs. And carnivores, which these animals include lions, cheetahs, leopards, and hyenas. The decomposers are the order fungi, insects, algae, and bacteria. We're going to discuss the biogeochemical cycles of the African savanna.
The African savanna plays a crucial role in the carbon and nitrogen cycles. The grasses and trees absorb CO2 and oxygen. The large herbivores contribute to the nitrogen cycle through their waste. The nitrogen cycle is a biogeochemical process that describes how nitrogen moves through the atmosphere, soil, living organisms, and back into the atmosphere. It involves several key processes: nitrogen fixation, conversion of atmospheric nitrogen N2 into ammonia NH3 by bacteria, primarily through lighting, industrial processes, or biological processes by symbiotic bacteria. Nitrification, conversion of ammonia into nitrates, NO2 negative, and then nitrates, NO3 negative by soil bacteria. Assimilation, plants absorb nitrogen compounds from the soil, ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates, and incorporate them into their proteins, which are then consumed by animals. Ammonification. Decomposers break down organic matter from dead plants and animals, releasing ammonia back into the soil. Denitrification. Conversion of nitrates back into nitrogen gas N2 by denitrifying bacteria and returning nitrogen to the atmosphere. In the African savanna, the carbon cycle follows a series of steps. First, photosynthesis. Plants in the savanna absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and convert it into organic compounds through photosynthesis, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Consumption. Herbivores feed on plants, incorporating the plant carbon into their own bodies. Decomposition. When plants or animals die, decomposers break down their organic matter, releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere through respiration. Combustion. Wildfires are common in the savanna. During these fires, carbon stored in plants is released back into the atmosphere as CO2. Soil storage. Some carbon from dead plants is stored in the soil, where it can be held for long periods if not disturbed. 6. Return to the atmosphere. Carbon in the soil can be released back into the atmosphere through various processes, such as microbial respiration, erosion, or disturbance. 7. Continued cycling. The carbon cycle continues to cycle through these steps, with plants taking up CO2 again to restart this process. Previously, we are going to be discussing the problem of overhunting, aka poaching,
and what sciences are being applied to solve this problem.
Fortunately, this incredible biome is being harmed by overhunting. It's a major issue in the African savanna. It involves the illegal hunting or capturing of wild animals.
Overhunting has become a significant problem in the African savanna for several reasons.
The diversity loss. Overhunting leads to a decline in large herbivores such as elephants and giraffes. This loss can disrupt the balance of both plant and animal species in the ecosystem. Ecosystem disruption. Large herbivores play a crucial role in controlling the growth of certain plant species. For instance, when these herbivores are no longer present, a type of plant known as lianes can rapidly take over local plant communities. Threat to endangered species. Overhunting has led to a significant reduction in the population of certain species. For example, the population of African elephants fell drastically in the 1980s due to hunting for ivory. Human impact. Humans are the sole predators of some of Africa's most threatened wildlife species. More elephants and rhinos are dying from poaching than from natural causes or conflicts with humans. Pressure on protected areas. Due to strong population in sub-Saharan Africa, even large protected areas are now under great pressure due to increased migration towards the borders of these areas. As more people come in, more space is needed to be able to house them.
The primary cause of overhunting is the high demand for wildlife products. Endangered animals are slaughtered so that a single body part, like the tusk, the pelt, or bones, can be illegally sold for huge sums of money. This is often driven by illegal trade networks, along with porous and unregulated borders in many parts of Africa. The causes are: 1. Demand for ivory. The high demand for ivory, particularly in Asia, has led to a significant increase in elephant poaching. The Great Elephant Census found that almost a third, which is 30%, of Africa's savanna elephants were wiped out between 2007 and 2014, largely due to poaching for ivory. 2. Weak governance and low development. A study analyzing 19 years of data from 64 sites across Africa found that poaching rates are lower where there is strong national governance and higher levels of local human development.
My turn. Poaching disrupts the normal functioning of the African savanna. So, the disruption of food chains. Poaching can lead to a decline in certain species, disrupting the food chain. For instance, the poaching of elephant, a keystone species, can affect the availability of food for other animals. A study published in the journal of Ecology highlighted that the loss of mega herbivores like the white rhinoceros due to poaching has tremendous effects on the ecosystem they inhabit. Impact on biogeochemical cycles. Elephants and other large herbivores play a crucial role in nutrient recycling. They consume large amounts of vegetation and deposit the nutrients back into the soil through their dung. The loss of these animals due to poaching can disrupt nutrient cycling. The study in the Journal of Ecology also found that the amount of short grass in savannas has important consequences for other species, but also components of ecosystem functioning, such as fire regimen. The carbon cycle is affected in many ways. For example, the disruption of food chains. Overhunting can disrupt food chains in the savanna ecosystem, which can lead to an overgrowth of certain plant species, which can alter the balance of carbon sequestration and release. Another example is altered vegetation structure. The removal of certain animal species can lead to changes in vegetation structure for the savanna. For example, if herbivores are overhunted, there may be an overgrowth of certain plant species. This could potentially lead to an increase in carbon storage, as more plants would mean more photosynthesis and thus more carbon sequestration. This is also an impact on soil carbon. Many animals in the savanna play crucial roles in nutrient recycling, including the carbon cycle. For instance, when animals die, their bodies decay and return carbon to the soil. Overhunting can disrupt this process because the animals are taken from biomes and cannot be returned to the earth. Overhunting could also cause an increase in CO2 emissions due to the burning of savannas to drive out game for hunting. Finally, it can lead to a loss of biodiversity, which we already stated, and it has indirect effects on the carbon cycle because biodiverse ecosystems are generally more resistant to changes and can sequester and store carbon more efficiently. Overpoaching can lead to habitat fragmentation, which disrupts the connectivity of ecosystems, and it can have cascading effects on the species that inhabit it. It also adds an increased risk of wildfires. The removal of certain species can disrupt the balance of an ecosystem, as we've previously stated, and it can also lead to an increase of risk of wildfires. This is due to there not being enough animals to eat the flora, and then the flora gets dried out, so there's more material to burn. And then globally, the loss of biodiversity in the African savanna can have ripple effects. Biodiversity loss can disrupt ecosystem services such as pollination and pest control that are vital for global food security. Additionally, as the African savanna plays a role in global climate regulation, overpoaching could potentially excalibrate climate change, affecting weather patterns and sea levels worldwide. To combat this problem, multiple sciences have been developed. For example, drones. Drones can continuously cruise in the air, discover the whereabouts of poachers in time, and transmit their location information to wildlife protection personnel in real time. Biotagging. A biotagging system of miniature sensors could be developed and placed on animals. These sensors, which might include accelerometers or heart rate sensors, could be used to detect when an animal is trapped or shot. Satellite technology. Satellite technology and machine learning are being used to track illegal and environmentally damaging activities. Pause. It's a system that would predict likely hotspots for poaching and direct patrols there to remove traps before they can kill any animals, plus generate new patrol routes to areas that were frequently monitored. There are also laws related to overhunting. Many countries have laws that protect wildlife and prohibit illegal hunting or poaching. However, the enforcement of these laws varies by country and region. For example, shoot-to-kill policies. Some African countries, including Botswana and Congo, have implemented regulations where it is legal to shoot and kill poachers if they are caught red-handed. Individual help. Individuals can help by supporting conservation organizations that work to protect wildlife in the African savanna. They can also help by raising awareness about the issue of overhunting and advocating for stronger laws and regulations to protect wildlife. They can also buy sustainably sourced products. They can be a responsible customer and stick to products with transparent and ethical supply chains.
Drones. As the cost of drones drops and they become easier to use, these high-tech tools have been filling an important role for conservationists and park rangers who want to stop poachers. Already done, drones have been used to protect endangered species, from Kenya to Nepal to whales in the ocean. Google awarded the World Wildlife Fund $5 million through the Global Impact Awards, money to be spent on technology that can further conservation efforts, including aerial surveillance drones.
These sciences are overall effective, but they do come with some limitations. For example, drones have limited flight time, which complicates coordinating their use with anti-poaching activities on the ground. Cost. Drones can be expensive, which can be a significant barrier for many conservation groups operating on tight budgets. There are also technological challenges. The technology used in drones is advancing quickly, but it's not yet at a level where it can fully meet the challenge of anti-poaching efforts. For instance, most drones currently in use are 3D printed. There are also regulatory restrictions. In some countries, there are regulation restrictions on the use of drones, which can limit their deployment for anti-poaching efforts. And while drones can be an useful tool in anti-poaching toolbox, they aren't a silver bullet. Despite the use of drones, poaching rates remain high in many areas. Now we are going to discuss the effectiveness of these sciences, taking into account the limitations. So drones. Drones can be used to track animal locations, detect poachers, and inform rangers counter poaching operations. They can capture high-definition video and images, analyze forest conditions, and respond quickly to poaching behaviors. A study evaluated factors affecting drone detection and machine learning effectiveness. Results show that the thermal infrared cameras improved detection probability at dawn and within a 90-degree camera angle. An oblique angle was more effective during RGB flights. The probability of detection decreased with increasing vegetation cover. Machine learning software had a successful detection probability of 0.558, but produced nearly 5 times more false positives than manual analysis. Despite manual analysis producing more true positive detections, automated software showed promising results. The use of science to address these issues has both social and economic implications. The drone industry, valued at $4.4 billion in 2018, is expected to surpass $60 billion by 2025. Despite initial investment being significant, drones have shown promising results in anti-poaching efforts. This suggests that drone technology can be cost-effective in the long run, reducing wildlife loss, but it is a very major investment at the start, and many countries can't afford to do so.
Now for the social implications. Drones. The use of drones for anti-poaching can have social implications. On one hand, drones can help protect wildlife, which is a source of pride and cultural significance for local communities. But on the other hand, there can be concerns about privacy and militarization for conservation efforts.
The Amazon rainforest is home to a diverse range of life, including 40,000 plant species, 1,300 bird species, 3,000 fish, 430 mammals, and 5 million different insects. However, dam construction could potentially kill half of these species. The producers are grasses, shrubs, mosses, lichens, and scattered trees. More specifically, giant water lilies, vines, orchids, rubber trees, fig trees, and pasha trees. The consumers are divided into 3 categories. The omnivores are parrots, some birds, toucans, pigeons, and other birds. Omnivore could be spider monkeys, deer, okapi, western lowland gorillas, tree kangaroos, pigs, elephants, rhinoceroses, leopards, and more. And then the carnivores are beetles, arachnids, scorpions, praying mantises, bullet ants, butterflies, centipedes, cockroaches, caterpillars, wasps, and bees. And then the decomposers, which are the fungi, insects, algae, and bacteria. Let's talk about the abiotic factors in this biome. These include the temperature, the climate, the soil, the sunlight, the air, and the water bodies. The climate in the Amazon rainforest is located near the equator, which gives it a tropical climate. The temperature typically ranges between 20 degrees Celsius to 34 degrees Celsius, and the forest receives more than 200 millimeters of rainfall annually. The soil in the Amazon is surprisingly nutrient poor. Most of the nutrients are held within the living plants and animals. The most fertile areas are those directly beneath the scattered trees, which result from the trees' fallen and decaying leaves. The sunlight in the Amazon rainforest has a dense canopy that blocks most of the sunlight from reaching the forest floor. The Amazon rainforest contributes to the global oxygen supply through photosynthesis. It is often referred to as the lungs of the earth because it produces about 20% of the world's oxygen through its plants. And the water bodies. The Amazon River and its tributaries, they provide a water source for the region's flora and fauna and also play a crucial role in nutrient cycle. The Amazon rainforest is home to 2 key biogeochemical cycles. In the Amazon rainforest, the carbon cycle involves trees and plants absorbing carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, releasing oxygen back into the atmosphere. At night, they respire, releasing some CO2, but overall, the forest acts as a carbon sink, absorbing more CO2 than it releases. When plants die, decomposition releases stored carbon back into the atmosphere. The nitrogen cycle in the Amazon rainforest starts with nitrogen fixation by microorganisms, followed by mineralization and nitrification. Plants absorb nitrogen from the soil, and when they die, decomposers return nitrogen to the soil. Some nitrogen is also converted back into nitrogen gas by soil bacteria, completing the cycle. In conning a serious issue. The construction of human-made dams in the Amazon River is causing significant water levels to decrease, disrupt the balance of the ecosystem, causing severe environmental consequences. The river, a vital source of fresh water, is home to numerous animals and is a significant source of biodiversity. The decrease in water levels affects local communities relying on the rivers for fishing, transportation, and agriculture. Dams alter sediment transportation, affecting floodplain soil fertility and affecting water chemistry, including the temperature and oxygen levels. They can also affect fish migration by cutting off the river. Rivers play a crucial role in biochemical cycles, including carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus cycles. The Amazon rainforest, a significant carbon sink, may release stored carbon back into the atmosphere due to the death of aquatic and semi-aquatic species. Nitrogenous compounds from dead organisms are converted into ammonia, which is then converted into nitrates and leading to denitrification and atmospheric pollution. So, how do we know that there's a problem?
The Amazon River's water levels have reached their lowest recorded levels in over a century, with the Rio Negro reaching its lowest level near Manaus in Brazil in October 2023. The main cause of this issue is the construction of dams, with 434 dams currently under construction or in various stages of planning across the Amazon basin. Dams limit the movement of species in the Amazon rainforest, such as 44 migratory fish, every river dolphin, and one turtle, which depend on free rivers. Dams are constructed for renewable energy, economic development, flood control, navigation, transportation, and water storage facilities. When a dam is constructed, it creates a reservoir or a lake, which can decrease downstream of river flow and cause river levels to drop.
The Amazon rainforest's numerous dams for hydroelectric power are causing slow river levels, a problem that requires an approach that considers dam impacts and other factors. During dry seasons, dam operations can exacerbate the decrease in water levels, as controlled water released from reservoirs may not be enough to maintain river levels downstream. The water basins could face severe environmental and economic consequences if they lose more water than they already have. This could result in a mass die-off of fish and aquatic life. The Amazon's flying rivers transport moisture to southern parts of the continent, affecting agriculture in Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and southern Brazil. Many sciences have been applied to mitigate the effects of dams on the water levels in the Amazon rainforest. For example, hydrological studies. To understand the dynamics of the Amazon River, hydrological studies are being applied. These studies involve the use of advanced technologies like acoustic Doppler current profilers, or ADCPs, to measure the speed of water particles in the river. This data helps in constructing river transects and understanding the flow dynamics of the river. Dam impact assessment. Scientists are using computational models to assess the collective impact of existing and planned dams in the Amazon River basin. These models consider various environmental criteria, such as river flow, river connectivity, sediment transport, fish biodiversity, and greenhouse gas emissions. The goal is to guide sustainable dam sitting and operation. Individuals can also contribute to the protection of the Amazon rainforest by supporting conservation organizations, raising awareness about dams, advocating for stronger laws, donating funds, and educating others about the damages of dams. They can also educate themselves and their communities about the rainforest's importance. The Colombian Supreme Court recognized the Amazon River ecosystem as a subject of rights and beneficiary of protection in 2018, stating that national and local governments are obligated to provide protection, conservation, maintenance, and restoration under Colombia's constitution. This is an example of a legal procedure that has been taken into account to protect the Amazon rainforest. Brazil has forestry and environmental laws protecting the Amazon rainforest, with fines for violator and patrols and satellites for enforcement. Global legal frameworks like the Convention of Biological Diversity and the Red Plus mechanism have been involved to advance Amazon conservation.
Now we're going to be discussing the effectiveness of these sciences. While these research efforts are providing valuable insights, the problem of overbuilding dams is still worsening the ecosystem of the Amazon aquatic life. Now on the dam impact assessment. Scientists are using computational models to assess the collective impact of existing and planned dams in the Amazon River basin. These models consider various environmental criteria such as river flow, river connectivity, sediment transport, fish biodiversity, and greenhouse gas emissions. Now, are there better sciences that could be used? Well, scientists are using computational methods to evaluate the impact of existing and planned dams in the Amazon River basin, considering environmental factors like river flow, connectivity, sediment transport, fish biodiversity, and greenhouse gas emissions. However, this optimization problem is computationally intensive due to the need to account for 2,509 possible combinations. The application of science in this issue interacts with various factors. The factors that we will be discussing are the economic and social impacts of each of these sciences. The use of science to combat this issue has both social and economic implications. For instance, preserving the Amazon rainforest can support local economies and rely on ecotourism. However, it also may require changes in human behavior, such as having to sacrifice electricity and power for the indigenous people living in villages. Now, onto a more specific approach. Now onto dam impact assessment. The economic implications. Large dams have been found to be only marginally economically viable with an average cost overrun of 56%. Dam failures can lead to devastating effects on the general environment and incur high social and economic costs. Social and ethical implications. Large-scale dam projects can lead to the migration and resettlement of people near the dam sites, changes in the rural economy and employment structure, effects on infrastructure and housing, impacts on non-material or cultural aspects of life, and impacts on community health and gender relations.
Okay guys, so to conclude our YouTube video, we are going to be going over our key points of our biome. So first off, we presented the African savanna. We talked about how overhunting is affecting this biome. More specifically, we talked about how it can lead to species extinction, which can lead to loss of biodiversity, habitat fragmentation, and more. But luckily, there are also sciences in place to help combat the issue of overhunting. The solutions that we talked about were the use of drones, DNA tracking, biotagging, satellite technology, decision-making tools, and pause. We know these solutions, how we've discussed previously, have been proven effective in combating this issue. There are still aspects that need to be taken into account. So the other biome that we discussed was the Amazon rainforest.
And the problem that we discussed were dams and the over-construction of dams, and how they decreased river levels, disrupt animal migration and aquatic ecosystems, and how they were affecting soil fertility and a lot of other problems. And to reduce the effects that these dams have on this biome, we also discussed the sciences that can help with this, which were hydrological studies, dam impact assessment, climate change studies, and legislations. But those sciences, although these solutions were proved to be effective, they did come with a few limitations on the country's economic state, ethical state, and social.